I'm Bob Sanheinrich. I'm here with Xiaofang Zhang and Christoph Pakleza, and we are going to be talking about the question framework. And then Xiaofang is going to be looking at a specific application of the question framework for computational thinking in our CBM product. So the first half of the talk will be me showing some updates to the question framework, and then I'll hand it over to see how it works in CBM. I'm not going to go into too many of the basic details about the question framework. I've done that in several previous tech conferences. So if you want more details on how question framework and assessment function work, just Google it or search it on YouTube, or you'll find videos of me from previous years looking at it all. Or you can read the documentation. All right, so what's new in QuestionObject and assessment function? So one thing is EpilogFunction. So we're supporting this as an option to QuestionObject, and you can give it a function, and it will run whatever code you put here when the assessment is completed. So here's a very simple example. I have, what is 4 cubed? And the epilog function is just echoing the assessment. So if I do this, it'll spit it out. If I get it wrong, it'll keep spitting it out. And you see we have these assessment result objects. And this is very useful for like recording results in a gradebook or any other sort of tracking of results that you might want to do. We can also do one that's a little more fun. So here I defined a celebrate function using a resource function that pulls in animations, and you can see if I get this wrong, it's very disappointed in me. If I get it right, it gives me a nice celebration. So really any sort of code you can come up with is now supported as an epilog function, and it'll just do whatever you want. So it's really opening it up to having these side effects. We've also added a lot of supports in QuestionObject for customizing styles. This has sort of been a gradual process. So here I have a bunch of different options that are supported in Wolfram Language in other ways, and when I put them all together, it allows me to make this really ugly interface. So I'm not really a graphic design type person, but you can imagine doing something less ugly. But all these options that kind of make sense to support in QuestionObject, we've sort of over the last few versions added support. So now the text in here can have different styles. You can add underlines, you can add frames here. You can set the width of the overall and the height of the overall question object in ways that hopefully make more sense than this one. And then, so we also have new customizations in assessment function. So instead of working on sort of the outer interface, the question object, this is customizing the inner computational bit that does the assessment. So one of them is scoring function. So in previous versions, you could give in your answer key, you could give a different score for different values in the answer key. So if the student says 5, you give them a certain score. If they say 10, you give them a certain score. But they were kind of fixed and predefined. Now you can give a scoring function that overrides the scores that would be determined by the answer key, and you can give any code you want to determine the score. And so it takes a lot of there's an association that comes in as the input with many different keys, and it's all documented on the assessment function page. And since we're sort of pressed for time, I'm not going to go into what all the values are. But here I'm only looking at the given answer, which is probably the most commonly used key for these scoring functions. So now if I create this function about the boiling point in Kelvin, I can see I get 1 score here, and it says I'm correct because I'm within the tolerance. If I give a score that's outside the tolerance, it says I'm wrong, but it still awards me some points. So this sort of decouples the score from the correctness, which is sometimes very nice to do. You can see if I get, I can change the tolerance, which affects the correctness, but it won't affect the score, right? The correctness, of course, is also one thing that's passed in here. So you can keep that coupling if you want your function to depend on the correctness. That's one of the values that gets passed in. So let's just see what this looks like in a question object. If I say 375, it says I'm incorrect. I can copy this thing out and I can look at it, and here's my score, right? All right, so similar to scoring function, we also have explanation function. Again, in previous versions, each value in the answer key could have a different explanation, but now it's opened up and you can provide code that runs at assessment time to generate the explanation. So here's an example in a question object, give an anagram of skate. If I say sneak, it's going to run this string template with unique elements, and it'll generate an explanation that says, here are the mismatched letters, right? So this is really kind of a nice tool to be able to programmatically generate the explanations, which leads into the next topic, LLM integration in question objects. So I'm going to show two ways that we've made it easy to use LLMs in the question framework. And one is trusting the LLM to assess the answer, to determine if it matches the value in the answer key. So here I have an answer key that says a real or fictional person widely considered to be a hero. This is a great case for letting the LLM determine if an answer is right or wrong, right? LLMs have lots of knowledge about the real world and about, reputations of people and what it means to be a hero and all this semantic knowledge. And it can tell you that Nelson Mandela is widely considered a hero. And what I did here was in the assessment function, the second argument here is this prompt from the prompt repository, question, answer, assess. So I should have mentioned that this is LLM prompt goes to the Wolfram prompt repository and pulls in this prompt, which is a template object. If I apply that template, you can see the actual prompting here. So it's really not that complicated, but it's nice to have this predefined prompt that you can just use right away. So here I'm using that in assessment function as the comparator function. Another thing that we've built in, but we haven't documented yet because we're not entirely convinced of the naming and design, is you can put in this string name for the comparator, LLM question assess, and that will pull in the same prompt from the prompt repository and use it. But when you do it this way, it isn't just used for determining correctness. It also generates an explanation. So I can look here and it tells me why Sauron is not a hero, right? And LLMs are pretty good at writing explanations, better than I am for sure. So here it is in a question object, and if I say Spider-Man, it will both determine the correctness and it'll give an explanation telling me Spider-Man is indeed a hero. All right, but sometimes you don't trust an LLM to determine if the answer is correct or not, especially with math problems. Right now, LLMs are pretty bad with any sort of complicated math comparison to say if two things are equivalent and should be considered correct. Sort of up through maybe middle school, they're just fine. But once you get to sort of a high school or a university level math problem, they're pretty bad. Maybe they'll get better, but they're not there yet. So you want to use the automated assessment that we've put into assessment function, and lots of the previous talks that we've given on question framework really highlight this sort of ability. It's really sophisticated. It's one of the best things out there. But if the LLM can't determine correctness, it is still pretty good at writing explanations. So we've put another prompt in the prompt repository. You can see, well, if it's expecting some sort of value here. I don't remember what it is. Something, I don't know. Well, so you can look at the prompt here. These messages are just because I didn't feed in the right data. But here I can use explanation function with this function from the prompt repository. And I can create this math problem that says expand this, and let me get it wrong. And we'll see. So the here the LLM is getting all sorts of information. It knows what the question was. It knows what my answer was. It knows what the correct answer was. It knows that it was determined by Wolfram Language that the answer my answer was not correct. It knows how many points were awarded and all sorts of stuff, and it can use all that information to generate a response. And you can see it's doing a pretty good job here. Something that could probably help a student learn. All right, so those are like the customizations and extensions that we've added. So now I'm gonna just sort of create one example here that'll motivate it all. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating what I'm calling the gradebook API function. So this is like the world's simplest LMS. It's an API that takes a result and just puts it in a file. And I'm deploying that to my cloud account. So now I have this API that requires authentication. So if any of you, there's going to be a part in about 40 seconds where you guys can use this. So if you're logged into Wolfram Cloud, you'll be able to do this. But if you're not, you won't. And now I'm going to create an assessment function that's using dates, and it has a custom scoring function, and it's using question assessment explanation for the explanation function. So here's this date assessment, and I'm going to put that inside of a question object, which has some custom and ugly styling, and then it has this epilogue function. So once the assessment is completed, it's going to make HTTP request using URL execute to that API I deployed to my cloud account. And it's going to pass in a string version of my results, or the student's results. All right, so now here I have this question object in my notebook, and this will work just fine. But I want anybody to be able to do it. So I'm going to take this question object, and I'm going to deploy it to my cloud account as well. Let's go there. Let me exit full screen and bring over my browser. So here's this. When was the first Wolfram Technology Conference? Let's go with today. This is the first one, I think. I don't know. I don't know when the first one was, but I'm going with today. I'm wrong. And look, there's a nice explanation. I hope the explanation isn't giving away the answer, so I'm going to go back to my my slides here. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a scheduled task that every 4 seconds is going to check what's been sent to the API. And you can see the first time that this task runs, it should bring in the result I just had. Is it? Okay, there it is. There it is. Okay. Took a little more than 4 seconds. Oh, look, and there's already a second result. Somehow somebody didn't even need the URL. But here I can make a QR code, and I'm going to leave that on the screen for about 30 seconds before I hand over the rest of the talk to Jafan to show an application of using question framework for our CBM product.
All right, thank you, Bob. Let me set up my sharing screen.
I'll give people about 5 more seconds to hit that QR code if they want. All right. All right, all yours.
Great. Now it's showing up. So hi, everybody. I'm Xiaofan, and thank you, Bob, for the first part of the talk. Before we jump into the part that's related to question framework, first let me introduce the CBM teaching and learning platform. So the full name is Computer-Based Math Teaching Platform. So it is an integrated student and teacher learning solution for computational thinking. So yeah, this is our landing page currently on the screen. As we can see, we have modules designed for these areas. And then like each module can just have some lessons to use either in class or like in cloud. Like your teacher and student don't have to be in the same room, but you can use it online. So now I'm just showing a live demo of the CBM teaching platform. So this one is what we're currently developing with University of Austin, UATX. And yeah, this one is currently under development with them. And then we used to have our own CBM question framework, but after Bob's team has developed the Wolfram Language version of question framework, we are slowly shifting it to it. And then this UATX project is our first live use of question framework. So yeah, this is just a quick demo of how a module looks like. So we have like in the CBM theory of learning math, we will define questions in one of these modules and then abstract those to computable form and then compute the actual answers and like in the last interpret the results. So during all that process, the students will go to do some of the questions, and then the teacher can actually get the student's answer, and then give a feedback to students. So yeah, let's go back to our slides. So yeah, there are some example use cases for the question framework in the CBM teaching platform. We have multiple choice questions. We have drag and drop questions. So yeah, like all sorts of questions that was made enabled by question framework. The first example use case is that we would like a student to fill in all these blanks. And then this is a text completion type of question. And we know like for different types of questions in the question framework, some of them have their own limitation of like what the input field should take. Some of them only take strings, some of them only take code expressions, and some of them taking numbers. But for text completion, we will need to build a more sophisticated constraint for what can be input here and what can be taken as a good answer. So here, for this question, I'll show a live demo later in the CBM module, but here I'm just talking about like how it's designed. So we have these 5 different parameters, and each parameter has a constraint. It has to be a number, and it has to be in a specific range. And all of these ranges, this A through E, the ranges are different. So the assessment function, I have to build it like step by step all by myself. So first of all, I need to check if all the fields have an input. And yes, if that's the case, then I'll need to check if the inputs are numbers, because I was actually asking for numbers here. So if the input is an A, then it doesn't make any sense for later uses. And 3, if the inputs fall into their respective ranges. So yeah, that's the idea of building the assessment function for this question specifically. And another one I want to bring up is the customized LLM prompt for assessment. And Bob showed earlier today that there is a built-in LLM assessment, LLM explanation function. This is a more customized version because that one used the resource function that Bob built, and the prompt it's already built in. But using this method here, I believe it's also how it actually works for the already built-in function. But this one, first of all, I just make my own prompt. This is a string template, which I can write all my prompt. I can give it a longer prompt saying like, oh, my name is blah, blah, blah. And there are some key points that need to be included in this prompt. First is that what is the question? And then second is what is your answer? What I was putting in more is that I was giving my prompt another set of answers so that it can check according to those. So yeah, this also gives some more reliabilities for LM to score the question. And yeah, like later it was just, I'll ask it to output it in the JSON formatting. So yeah, here I'm just building this LM assessment. So this LM synthesize, just taking my prompt and also taking the parameters of what the max score is, what the question is, and then this key is my set of example answer keys, and then this answer is actually the user's answer. And then later it's just some post-processing of the result just to put them into the correct formatting. So yeah, here is just a very quick example of how that was used and built. So yeah, let me jump back to my CBM module and then do some showing here. So I'm just showing these two questions that I talked about. Let's give it a second. So yeah, the first example is that we would like the student to do some manipulation of this model here, and then we would like them to put whatever they got the answer into this question. So yeah, I'm just doing some drag and drop. It doesn't matter. It's just a model fitting here. So it doesn't matter like what the actual numbers are, but I'm showing it here. If I'm putting some like unreasonable things and leave everything blank and I hit the submit button, it'll first tell me please fill in all the blanks. So I will do that. And oh, that one was like, this one also takes scientific formatting for numbers. And then I'll just do like intentionally, I'm doing a typo there just to show that if everything was input, and then it's going to check if this one falls into the range. The range is actually like from here, and this one doesn't fall into the range either, and then it can actually give some information about where the ranges are. So now I'm just going to do some modification here so that everybody fits in their slot. All right, so now after I submit my answers, I can actually check my answers because the answer got sent to the server using the EpilogFunction introduced. So yeah, this is me. I'm just sending my answers in, and I can actually, as a teacher, I can check what I just sent in right there. And then this question also mentioned that the parameters will be retrieved in later activities. which again, if it's stored in the server, then we can retrieve it easily, right? So yeah, I believe like in the next page that we are actually retrieving it back. So yeah, if I hit this button, it will just get whatever I just input. So yeah, that's the first use case. And then the second one I want to use is that we have our LLM assessed functions. So here, let's just give it a second. And I'm just going to copy paste some answers that I typed before. So yeah, the first question is asking for what the growth rate is, like right here. So let me just put it in. And then I hit the submit button. It goes through the LLM. And then because I provided a grading criteria, so that's why it's only giving me like half of the point, and then also gave me some notes like how can I improve my answer. And then I believe that this will help the students to get better at this understanding. No, okay, let me get some more detailed information in there. And then submit again. All right. Yeah. Now, yeah, this is just my my error detecting function just to protect, so that when something's like not actually formatting correctly, then it will just give me this. But yeah, this is just a quick demonstration of how the question framework actually got used here. So yeah, that's all from me, I think. Let me hand it back to Bob so that we can also take some questions if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any questions right now. I will give some kudos to a couple of people who got the question about the first technology conference correct. Let's see. I got it wrong, way off. It wasn't today. But we got RC Janke and Tadeo and Felipe. So we got some right answers. So that's good. And let's see if we don't have. We'll do this guy. Did we finish on time? Oh no, we're too late. All right, we better stop then. All right, last chance for questions. Oh, can modules be used outside of the purchase of Wolfram products? So like you can't create question objects without a Wolfram product, but students can certainly use them, right? So the demo I did where I cloud deployed it, I made it require authentication, but you can make it public. The issue is there, you don't really know who's submitting the answers, right? You would need to come up with some of sort of your own authentication or identification scheme if you're just making it public. But absolutely, the idea is that a teacher or some organization can generate the content and deploy it and have it work for students anywhere without them needing a desktop product or a cloud license or anything, right? Really only the author needs it. All right, that was the last question. So I'll wrap up. Thanks for attending, everybody.
Bob, I think that question is asking about CBM modules.
Oh,
Maybe.
okay.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
I can answer that. I can kind of answer that because I don't do the business side of it. But for CBM modules, there are some demo free modules that's online, and you can just search for CBM there, and it will just have some link goes to the free modules that you can try for. And I believe at this current stage, the free modules at first you will only need a free Wolfram Cloud account, and then you can try out all the modules, all the free modules out there. But yeah, if you want to access all the modules of CBM, I believe there is a subscription for that. I'm not sure about the pricing or anything because I'm the developer working on this. So, but yeah, please please get in touch with us so that we can find that out for you. And yeah, for the CBM modules, it also comes with LLM supports, but that will be connected to the LLM kit subscription. So yeah, we do it as a package, like CBM plus the LLM kit. So yeah, if you're interested, please let us know so that we can provide more information. Thank you.
All right, and I'll just pitch right now. There's a Quesio talk by Danny Finn going on. That's more educational technology from Wolfram. So most people here would probably be interested in that. Go run over there. And then you can come see me in a half hour talking about another educational product, which is our personal education system or tutor. So much more coming.